Nour, I know you told me to add setting to my book, but it's a black and white book. How can I add a settings page?
What?
I don't know what settings you expect to personalize. It's a book.
Michael, a setting like a location.
Like GPS data? I don't think a book settings page can get GPS data, Nour. Come on.
Michael, why are you like this? Hey guys, Nour here, and here's how to write an effective setting for your story. But first, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you can get notified whenever I upload new videos. Let's get started. Why do so many people ignore this setting? Maybe it's because they have to describe a place rather than just dive into the story? I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely writers who love describing its setting. Maybe it's had too much. That's when you get nothing but world building for 50 pages straight. Here's the thing, every story requires a setting, but it has to have a function, a purpose, which means that having too much description of a setting is bad. So how do you write an effective setting for your story? Start out by thinking of the mood you're trying to get across on the page. Specific places create specific moods. I mean, think of Shakespeare's King Lear. In the middle of family turmoil and betrayal, a storm rises. In many romantic stories, it's sunny outside or they're out in the country. In A Room with a View by E.M. Forster, we start out in Italy, in a romantic setting. In The Hunger Games, Katniss and her mother and sister live in Panem, which is a country that used to be North America, and they reside in a poor mining district. Why are any of these settings important? Well, how else are you supposed to create a mood? When it's raining outside and the sky is gloomy, we automatically feel sad and grumpy. So it does matter what place you pick as your main setting. What place can create the desired mood you're going for in your story? Next, select a time of year based on the weather, holidays, and events. Is winter coming? That definitely affects the story and the characters' behaviors. Or perhaps we're in the middle of a satanic holiday, and in that case, that might really affect your story. And if that does happen, I hope you're writing either a thriller or a horror. This isn't a children's book, folks. Maybe the time of year you choose coincides with a big festival that only happens once a year. It could be the annual festival of Saint Vladimir, the vampire saint, which would certainly move your story in one direction and affect the mood. Also, don't forget that the time period you write in is a setting. Are we in the past, present, or future? What is time, really? We're just floating dust particles in space. Whew, okay, that's enough existential crisis for the day. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, choosing a time period. If you're writing a dystopian novel, the big thing you have to figure out is how far in the future you want to take your readers. If you're going far in the past, what era are you choosing? Are we in Renaissance Italy, 1800s England? Are we living in the middle of the Civil War? Perhaps we're going back to 1341 BC to ancient Egypt. Where you choose to take your characters, of course, affects their language, behavior, and thoughts. So choose accordingly and keep in mind that you could have multiple settings in your story. You could switch between present day and early 1900s India. You can take your characters to Greece and bring them back to America. Just make sure that all locations have a purpose. Your characters aren't traveling to Greece because you couldn't think of a plot. They're traveling to Greece to uncover a family secret. Locations have a function. And speaking of multiple locations, you can and should have various times of day. For example, your entire story doesn't just take place in the span of a morning hour, unless you're writing a short story, of course, or you have some sort of twist. But in general, your characters should move around a day or a week or several months. Times change, and the best way to indicate passing of time is to tell your reader what time of day or even what day of the week it is. Is our character jogging in the middle of the night? That tells us that they can't sleep and have something on their mind. Is our character at a bar at 9 in the morning? What are they trying to forget? Time of day affects characters and stories' meaning and mood. So choose it wisely and remember to consider your setting's population. How many people live in your character's town or city? Maybe there are a total of 5 houses where your character lives at. Or maybe it's a big, busy, noisy city with non-stop life. And while you consider your setting's population, think about the setting's culture as well. If your character is in New Orleans, there'd be a specific culture, popular food, and you'd hear many French words being tossed around. Many people would even have French last names. As a result, the people's behavior would be unique to their culture. Some cultures are quieter than others, while other cultures love a good party. So choosing your setting based on its culture and people is just as important as everything else. Hopefully I didn't overwhelm you with all these tips. What matters when choosing your setting and writing an effective one for your story is that you just have fun with it. Choose a setting that feels natural to the story you're telling. We all feel a certain mood when we start writing our stories, so just make sure that your setting is aligned with that mood you carry inside your head. If you ignore every other tip I've mentioned in this video, at least take this part to heart. Let me know in the comments, what is the setting of your current or next book? I'd love to know. And before we go, if you haven't joined my Discord server yet, make sure you do so, that way you can chat with me and other writers. And make sure you subscribe to my newsletter, that way you could get monthly freebies and be one of the first to know about my upcoming book. Both the link to my newsletter, which is my website, and Discord is in the description below. So there you have it, how to write an effective setting for your story. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, check out my others, and subscribe to support my channel. And remember, Nour for President!